Games are so versatile and so varied. It's great that we have so many genres in video games. Hardcore first-person shooters, amazingly fun racing games, and colourful open-world role-playing games, to name a few. But then you have games like RiME. RiME is a game that you could say kind of exists in this crazy madness of in-your-face video games. RiME is just there for you to enjoy and experience. An adventure puzzle game from Tenquilia Works, the team that previously worked on the game Deadlight. RiME was first revealed at Gamescom in 2013, where it was originally to be released for PlayStation 4. However, years passed and RiME was nowhere to be seen until early 2017, where RiME received a gameplay trailer and was confirmed to be coming to all platforms. RiME was released on all platforms except Nintendo Switch in May 2017, and on Nintendo Switch in November 2017. This is the version I bought and the way I wanted to experience RiME firsthand, as it seems like the perfect game for a system such as the Switch. Before I talk about the port specifically, here's just a quick word on the game itself. If you enjoy games that task you to adventure out, solve interesting puzzles, and view a creative world, RiME is a game to enjoy. Its strongest appeal is its visuals. The game is beautiful and never fails to look the part in its setting. Just look at this. It's like a storybook come to life. RiME's highlight, however, is its story. The game has no dialogue, no words that you can understand, instead relying on subtle indications that the game gives you with camera angles and audio cues. With this in mind, it means the person playing the game may interpret the story a little different than someone else. However, the core of the story stays intact and is completely unexpected. For me, the story didn't sink in until after I went back into the game after completing it and understanding all that was clearly in front of me. No spoilers here, but the ending is special. It teared me up. Whether that was for the greater good or not, you'll have to find out for yourselves. RiME doesn't do everything well, however. Although the game has a lot of interesting puzzles that will make you see things differently. These are likely puzzles you have seen before in some form. Collectibles are also obtainable throughout the land, offering additional elements to the story and costumes for your character to wear. Even Switch owners have achievements that you can complete in the game which are featured on other platforms. Small nods to other games is also visible throughout, but something that brings RiME together is its music. Just like the visuals, RiME's music is so beautiful in every way. The music truly is magical. Yes, it's safe to say RiME is special. It might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it is something you should experience. And there are some nice extras for Switch owners. But should this be the place you play it? It's a shame that RiME for Switch came out months after the other versions. Tenquilia and Tantalus Media, the Switch porters for this game, the team that also ported The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess to Wii U in HD, needed more time porting and optimizing the game for the console. Of course, a shame, but if something is not ready, then of course, don't release it until it is. Without further ado, let's get to the Switch version. RiME on Switch runs at a resolution of 720p while docked, which is very important to note. I'll get to that later. This is a downgrade from other platforms that run the game at 1080p. However, this does not take away from the experience, and the game itself still looks a treat. It still looks the part, which is good, as the visuals are a key element to the game. Unfortunately, RiME has a slight problem. It struggles sometimes to keep up with what's going on within the game. In other words, frame rate. Now, I am completely happy with the game running at 30 frames per second. There is nothing wrong with that. Sadly, RiME falls short more than it should in this department, and it can be tricky to fully appreciate the game when it suffers. Sadly, it is not just a case of the game running at 30 frames per second and dipping every now and then. RiME Switch does suffer more than it should in a rather low frame rate. Personally, for me, it was on the border of bothering my experience of playing the game. But note that for the majority of gamers, this is something that is hard to overcome. Now, this is where I'd say my final thoughts or conclusion of RiME on Switch. But that is just playing RiME on TV mode. It's time to talk about portable mode for RiME, and wowzers. It's oh dear. As you'd expect, most games on Switch in portable or handheld mode downgrade their visuals from 1080p or 900p to 720p as standard, with the exception of games that run at 720 in TV mode. They run the same resolution in handheld mode. RiME does something different. Remember when I said one of RiME's strongest points was its visual direction? What happens when you take that away? You have RiME in portable mode. Whether it is 480p or a lower resolution, I cannot determine myself. I am not that smart. But it is noticeable, and it is by far the worst way to experience the game. Now, you don't have to look far online to see that both Tenquilia and Tantalus Media had trouble porting this game, and sacrifices had to be made to get the game running on Switch, such as either adding load times to the world, taking parts out of the game, or lowering the visual resolution, the choice they went with in the end. This resulted in a better experience overall than what the developers had. I am no developer here, but I can imagine this game was a challenge to port to the Switch, as the developers only decided on giving this game a Switch version in late 2017. So the time to process the port was less than a year. And it's easy to see that open world or sandbox games do need a lot of development time to run smoothly. RiME has received patches for Switch since launch that have helped the game's frame rate, but I do hope Tenquilia and Tantalus continue to do their best to get this game running as best as it can. A few frame rate drops is perfectly acceptable. It's when it happens more than it should that it becomes a distraction. RiME is therefore challenging to fully recommend for Switch. The resolution is perfectly fine at 720, and the physical version extras are a delight, but it all comes down to how RiME runs, and if more frame rate drops than the average game is a deal breaker or not. And of course, handheld mode. This game looks amazing. Its music is beautiful. Its story touching. If Switch is the only console you have, consider checking this out. Otherwise, experience RiME on another system. But anyways, that's it for this video. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've played RiME and what you think about RiME on any system. And until the next time, fantastic rest of your day. See you all in the future.